to my bedroom. Don't think that me letting you in here is an invitation for any funny stuff. I mean, not that I have a problem with funny stuff. Especially not if you really like the person. But that isn't what I wanted to talk about.
Hello gamers, today I'm talking about a game that is in desperate need of a remake and is thankfully getting one on the horizon. Well, hopefully, because a lot of remakes and remasters of games have been cancelled recently. But anyway, this game is the 2012 classic zombie hack and slash game Lollipop Chainsaw, made by legendary developer Suda51 and current head of the DCU, James Gunn. Now, I know it seems that James Gunn has been working on a lot of stuff lately, but let's just say I was definitely shocked to find out that he was a part of this game. But I guess James Gunn is also the reason why this game has a pretty star-studded cast, with the likes of Tara Strong playing the lead, Juliet Starling, a just-turned 18-year-old cheerleader, Michael Rosenbaum, also known as Lex Luthor from Smallville, who plays Juliet's boyfriend Nick.
You were right about me all along, Mr. Kent. I am the villain of the story.
And even Michael Rooker, who shows up as one of the game's big bads. Lollipop Chainsaw isn't the most well-known game out there, but it does have a strong but small fan base, which I am somewhat a part of, as I love the game. But how did a game like this get its fan base, as back in 2012 there were lots of zombie hack and slash games coming out? What did it do to make itself stand out from those other games? Well, it blended horror and comedy in a way that Asian cinema does so perfectly, but you could probably guess what got a young teenage me into this game by some of the clips I'm showing now. But I guess I wasn't actually as much of a perv as I think I was, because there is an achievement for looking up Juliet's skirt for a not short amount of time. And that's an achievement I never got. And the game, however, obviously does play into Juliet's figure. And let's just say, not in a tasteful way, but indeed in a funny way. But that's enough about the game and Juliet. Let's talk about something that makes the game stand out. That's not Juliet's figure. And that would be the game's very unique art style. Well, maybe unique is not the right word, but it is one I very much enjoyed, and one that the developers Grasshopper absolutely nailed, and that is it being the comic book looking art style, with some scenes having the checkered sort of comic book style film grain over the top, and some characters in the game having that classic black bold outlines around them and some objects. And also, even parts of the story are told in comic book panels, to the point where Juliet can interact with the comic book panel itself mid-game, which kind of reminds me of Deadpool, which is never a bad thing to be reminded of Deadpool. As I mentioned earlier, this game is a hack and slash, so the combat is very well hack and slashy, if that even makes any sense. So what I'm trying to say is the combat is pretty basic, but I still found incredible enjoyment in it. You have 3 basic attacks: a normal attack, a low attack for like sweeping legs, and also used for zombies who don't have legs. And Juliet also has a stun attack where she uses her pom-poms. Oh, and Juliet's weapon of choice is a chainsaw, but I feel that's a given as the game's called Lollipop Chainsaw. Juliet uses a chainsaw and likes lollipops. However, in the combat, there are also some very special weapons, which I'll pick up later when we talk about the story. So, one thing this game differs to a lot of other games I play is the fact that I'm actually not the biggest fan of Lollipop Chainsaw's story. It's indeed a passable story, but it's more of a vessel to keep you in the combat, where normally it's the story or the narrative that keeps me playing the game. But let's take a look. So this game starts off with Juliet in her bedroom, waking up and getting ready to go meet Nick, her boyfriend, for school, as it's her 18th birthday, and that night she is going to introduce Nick to her family. So now, rushing out of the house as she's running late, whilst biking to school, Juliet runs into a herd of zombies. Which, to be honest, she seemed pretty nonchalant about, as it turns out her whole family are zombie hunters. Her whole family being her mum, her dad, her older sister Coraline, who is an expert marksman, and her youngest sister Rosalind, who is an absolute annoyance and who I hate every second she shows up on the screen for. So after fighting her way through the herd of zombies, she gets to Nick. And when she gets to Nick, she's a little distracted and a zombie attempts to sneak up on her when Nick saves her life. However, getting bitten in the process, leaving him for dead.
One bit me. Just a little bit. I don't know what that means. What does it mean? Huh?
Oh no, it can't be.
I feel it in me. I'm gonna become one, huh? Fuck. I'm screwing up your birthday, aren't I? I'm sorry, Juliet. I don't want to fuck up your birthday.
My birthday? Don't worry about that. That's the dumbest thing ever.
Listen, I know it's stupid. We just started getting serious, but I wanted you to know. I know I've never said it or anything, but I kind of sort of, you know, love you. Oh, I fucking love you. Oh.
Nick.
That is until Juliet performs some nonchalant, not showed black magic to decapitate Nick's head from his body, but allowing him to live, therefore stopping the poisonous bite from spreading to his brain. And after that, Nick will spend the rest of the game attached to Juliet's skirt and will provide a sort of quippy sort of personality throughout the rest of the game. Juliet will then start making her way through the school to meet up with her sensei, whose name I'm not going to try to pronounce because I will just butcher it. So I'll just refer to him as Sensei. And on the way there is also a zombie basketball minigame where you end up playing, which basically consists of Juliet chopping off a bunch of heads with her chainsaw, and then they magically fly into a zombie net, which was actually pretty fun. And I enjoyed it. But eventually, you meet up with Sensei where he informs you that someone in the school has breached the barrier between worlds with normal explosives, meaning that Earth is now connected to what the game refers to as the Rotten World, some form of hell. That's when you make your way out of the courtroom and see the person who has committed this crime would be Swan, the school's emo kid, because of course it's the emo kid, who then opens up a portal summoning 5 dark pariahs, I think they were called. Basically demon zombie bosses, which Juliet must now defeat. And unfortunately, she must do it on her lonesome, as after fighting the first dark pariah, that can't be right, I'm just gonna say zombie boss. After fighting the first zombie boss, a rock zombie who basically screams his attacks at you, named Zed, which sadly, the sensei will lose his life during the fight with Zed, leaving Juliet to do it all by herself. And after Zed, you make your way there, fighting many other dark zombies on the way. Vic? V-I-K-K-E? Vic? Yes, we'll go with that one. A Viking zombie. And this is where Juliet sees her older sister on the zombie pirate ship. And she gives Juliet one of her first special weapons. That being the ability to turn the chainsaw into some kind of blunderbuss shotgun-like thing. Which, once getting this, it makes it every other boss fight a lot easier once you have this weapon, where all you need to do is keep your ammo up, which you can buy at shops littered around the world. Now, you get coins by killing zombies or damaging certain aspects of the environment, and these coins can be used to upgrade Juliet's health, strength, and other abilities, and you can also purchase more combos from the shop. And you can also buy ammo, lollipops, which Juliet will use to heal her, or Nick tokens. Nick tokens are abilities you can use as Juliet where you use Nick's decapitated head in some kind of way. Which these are also more gifts that your family will give you along the way. So let's quickly cover the other special attacks that Juliet gets. First is the Nick Toss, where Nick's head is attached to some kind of rope and swung around to stun enemies. And then there is the Nick Popper, where you shoot Nick's head out of the chainsaw gun, and it bounces back and you can repeat that for a short amount of time. And lastly, there is the Nick Bomb, which I feel explains itself. Anyway, after making our way to Vic's ship and defeating him during the boss fight, he becomes a massive flying zombie head that eats his own body. But anyway, the next dark zombie big bad is Marisha, I think. I'm just gonna call her Marisha. That's not right. I should have looked up how to pronounce stuff first. She is the hippie zombie that you go to fight on a farm where Rosalind shows up. Remember where I mentioned where I hate Rosalind? She's basically with you for this whole level. You're basically chasing her around as she's in a boss. Therefore making this my least favourite segment in the whole game. However, the boss fight for this segment with the hippie zombie was pretty easy. It's basically after every stage, she would just duplicate herself. But I will say, it was probably the nicest boss fight because she's the only one who didn't refer to Juliet as slut or whore. So that's pretty good. Next up on the boss fight bonanza is the 80s styled zombie by the name of Josie. A zombie who you have to fight in an arcade, fighting your way through a bunch of arcade games, one of which where you are climbing up the side of a skyscraper. And oh my god, it was not easy, and I don't know why, but it's the only part of the game that I truly found hard or frustrating. But not the fun hard or the good hard. I'm going to stop talking about different types of hard now. But you get the idea, it was not easy. But then you actually get to the boss fight with Josie, who is chilling in a small UFO who you just need to shoot with your shotgun. Chainsaw shotgun thing, sorry. And then for stage 2, he gets an even bigger UFO that has Rosalind in a bubble kidnapped under it. Yes, Rosalind's back. Yay! Sadly, she survives though, being saved by your dad. Now, as Juliet makes her way to the final zombie demon thing, a zombie by the name of Lewis Legend, and by far my favourite both as a villain and boss fight. There is a point where he merges with his motorcycle to transform into a mech elephant thing, which was just awesome. But once again, with the chainsaw shotgun, the fight was pretty easy, even when you ran out of ammo. But after the final fight, Juliet confronts Swan, where Swan reveals that this is all a part of his devious plan. And he uses the death of all 5 dark pariahs to summon a massive fat Elvis zombie.
Your turn, you whiny MySpace-haired jerk!
Fantastic work, Juliet. You've done everything just as I hoped you would, start to finish. Thanks for your cooperation. Now the real deal is fulfilled.
What? What are you talking about?
You incredibly hot idiot. I told you, for the gates of hell to open, a ritual must be enacted. And you were part of it all along. I set this whole thing up, you fools! Now the ceremony has been completed! Upon you had to sacrifice 5 pre-selected zombies, and they must utter the sacred words at the point of their deaths. Meus vita rege pro nefario coepto.
Why? Why are you doing all of this?
Because you're just like everyone else! You pretended to be different, but you're not!
What? Me?
Yes, Juliet, you! Bitch! This is the end. The real end to everything. This school, this world, deserves to be destroyed. It rejected me. It ridiculed me. So I'll make this rotten world even more rotten. Rot away. Rot away. Rot. 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 So fuck all of you. Your eternal screams of horror will be my pop music.
Which is named the Killer Billy. And to be honest, this final boss fight was kind of a letdown. The fight was by far the easiest, maybe second to the zombie hippie. And at the same time, after this fight, there are no stakes in what happens. Like throughout the fight, both Nick and Juliet's dad have death fake outs, with the dad blowing himself up to create a massive hole in the face of Killer Billy, so that Juliet can get inside of him and attach Nick's decapitated head to Swan's body, which is inside the heart of the Killer Billy, which Nick then explodes with the Nick bomb, killing the massive zombie. But yet they both end up still alive at the end of the game. Although Nick's head ends up on the sensei's body, which I swear the sensei didn't look that short in the other scenes he was in, but I get it. Funny view. Nick's face now lines up with Juliet's breasts. Ha ha, funny.
Nick!
Juliet!
But after that, you complete the game with the ending cutscene, which has Nick, Juliet, and the whole family heading home to see Juliet's mum for her birthday dinner, who, for me, was a zombie. However, this is one of the game's 2 endings, and of course, not shocking, I got the bad ending. In order to get the good ending, you need to save all of Juliet's classmates throughout the game. And if you do, Juliet's mum is Juliet's mum, and the whole family lives happily ever after. But however, after you saved every classmate, they made some wacky, goofy comments, which I got a little bored of hearing. Also, there's one where I just generally struggled to save the classmates. So I sort of gave up after that point. I don't know if that makes me a good person or not, but I'm not a good person, so it's probably fine. So that is the story to Lollipop Chainsaw, which, as I stated, it isn't the best story I've ever played by a mile. It's not the worst either, though. There was one really good part towards the end when Nick's fighting with Juliet about being just a decapitated head, and that she should have given him the choice. Like maybe he doesn't want to live as a decapitated head, but they dropped that pretty quickly towards the end of the game, as it was coming up to the end of the game and they needed Nick to sacrifice himself to stop the Killer Billy. And you don't want a character mad at your main character towards the end of the game. But I kind of wish they started that argument about Nick being a decapitated head a little earlier in the game and explored it a bit more, as you could really look at the point of where saving someone's life may outweigh the cost of what you have to do to save it. But at the same time, this was a 2012 zombie hack and slash game about a cheerleader who uses a chainsaw and has her boyfriend's decapitated head attached to her skirt belt the whole time. Probably not the best place to have a talk about euthanasia and do not resuscitate orders. But hey, this video is also probably not the place for that. So I'll see you guys in the next video, which could be on Cars Racer-Rama or Sleeping Dogs, or like the other video, a completely other game that I haven't even thought of playing yet.
What's your favorite color, Nick?
Blue? No, green.
Awesome. I love learning about you.
I fucked up. It's yellow.
Ah,